Hello and welcome to the Big G Video Podcast. This is a podcast about, well, just more in-depth things about making YouTube videos. So I have a YouTube channel and you may be watching this on the YouTube channel right now. And that's about making YouTube videos and making videos and all things related to making videos, whether it's software, whether it's cameras, etc., film cameras, whatever. When I say film cameras, I mean, photography cameras that are hybrid cameras. But anyway, I digress because what I'm going to talk about in this podcast is the Pocket 2, the DJI Pocket 2. So the podcast allows me to do more long-form content rather than shorter videos. So it gives a much more in-depth analysis. So don't turn away just yet, because you'll probably get a much more in-depth analysis about the Pocket 2 than you would from a video. That's a bold claim, and listen to the end and tell me if I'm right. So I'm going to pick up my Pocket 2 now. I've just turned off to the side, and what for me the Pocket 2 has brought to me is the fun. It's brought the fun back in making videos. I'm someone who, the hobby really is making videos. I have a YouTube channel about making videos. So I have lots of cameras, I have lots of softwares, lots of video editors. I try them all out, etc. And the Pocket 2 I got basically because I couldn't find the right gimbal for my needs. So I thought in the end I'll get the Pocket 2. I previously had the Fimi Palm. In fact, I still got the Fimi Palm, but it's sort of damaged. So it's in this no man's land of I'm not using it and I can't sell it. I don't feel it's right to sell it. So yeah, I've still got the Fimi Palm, which is basically a copy of the DJI Pocket, isn't it? So this enabled me just to have more fun, because it literally does fit in your pocket. Now, you could say, oh, a GoPro fits in your pocket. You could say a phone fits in your pocket. An Instago 2 fits in your pocket. Yes, they do. But the DJI Pocket and Pocket 2 gives much more cinematic footage. And at the end of the day, that's what we're all after. We all want cinematic footage, because we don't like looking at things, it looks like that was shot on a phone, that's not very good, the colour's a bit washed out. We don't want that. We want to impress people with our video, so really we want cinematic footage. So first of all, I'm going to take it out, and I'm going to take it out the case. It's quite difficult to get out of the case. You can probably hear me pulling at it. Here we are, it's out of the case. The case is really strong. The case really protects it. On the Fimi Palm, you've just got this flimsy lid, which does surprisingly well, but it's not very good at keeping dust out. Now, the lens is obviously built in, and the lens is on a gimbal, and thankfully, the lens turns in on itself to give it maximum protection. So it turns in towards the gimbal mechanism rather than be protruding, which is a good idea. So it shoots up to 4K 60. Now, 4K 60 is not something I use. I never really use 4K 60. I use 4K 25, and I think I might do 4K 50 and I might do 4K 30 and slow it down to 4K 25, but I'm not bothered about 4K 60. I know a lot of people are bothered about 4K 60, but I'm not. This doesn't have a particularly good slow motion mode. I think it's 1080, it's got huge crop. So I'd rather shoot at a higher frame rate and slow it down, albeit not as much. I'm not looking for 100 frames per second, that sort of thing. No, thank you. I'm just looking for something good and decent. So it fits in your hand, it's got USB-C charging, it connects to your phone. Now, the Fimi Palm, and I'll probably make lots of references to the Fimi Palm, connects to your phone wirelessly, and that's all built in, but there's no real way to hold it. And you can get a holder, but it's not very good. So you sort of use you can buy a wireless adapter. I didn't. You use this I've got an iPhone, so I use the supplied lightning port connector, but there's a USB-C connector. So that holds it in place. Now, it doesn't hold it particularly well. It's okay for casual use, but for prolonged use, you really want to get something like a holder. So I bought a holder from PJY Tech, and that's really good. It's a bit fiddly to get in, but it does allow you to use it for a longer period of time. So now, all of a sudden, your pocket device, which really does fit in your pocket, and I'm just putting it next to my iPhone, is smaller than my iPhone in terms of height, becomes a full-blown unit. You can get a mic adapter to plug mics in, and if you have like the big stick thing that they sell, which I don't have, you can also monitor your audio. So you've got something that really fits in the best of both worlds. You've got something that fits in your pocket and it has a screen, so you can use it just in the sort of pocket mode. But then you can build a rig out and use it with a phone and use it with an external microphone and hold it more securely and more comfortably for prolonged use. And you can add ND filters on. I've got an anamorphic adapter, and you can have polarizers and everything else. So I suppose what I'm getting at is you can build a rig easily, cheaply, that's portable. So whenever you start expanding your camera, so let's look at, I don't know, the Canon EOS R, the EOS R5. By the time you put a cage on it, external microphone, all these things, it's huge. It's a fortune. It costs a lot of money. And it's big and it's cumbersome. By the time you put a gimbal on it, it's ridiculous. And the time it would take you to set up with that is ridiculous. And yes, you don't need all that, but you can add it to get slightly better results. I'm not saying adding those things give you the results you're after. But with the Pocket 2, you can do exactly the same, but it's still portable. It's still a lot cheaper. It still gives you very good results. So we've got autofocus on the Pocket 2. Something like a GoPro won't have any autofocus because everything's in focus. So we've got autofocus. We can do continuous autofocus. We can do single point if you don't want to see the hunting around. And the autofocus is quite good. If you plug your phone in, you can also do active track. I say plug your phone in, you could do Wi-Fi. So you can track an object, and as you move around, the gimbal changes its orientation to keep that in shot. It's not perfect because at some point you're going to run out of room. I mean, if you went around a circle, it gets to a point where the gimbal head can't turn anymore. At that point, it loses tracking. But for simple dolly shots, panning shots, things like that, it's really good. The one thing I don't think it's particularly good at compared to something like the FimiPalm is going into flashlight mode. I don't think it's particularly good at going into flashlight mode. The FimiPalm does it really well. This I don't think does it as well as the FimiPalm. But what I do like is it seems so much more robust than the FimiPalm, quick to operate, just seems a more polished version of the FimiPalm. And what's not surprising, because the FimiPalm is a knockoff of it. It has a tripod in a decent place. So actually I look at it, it has no tripod, but I can take the bottom off and mount a tripod on it. So I can just change the bottom out for a better tripod. And because you can mount it on a tripod, you've got loads of options when it comes to time lapse. So I could put it on a tripod, I could mount it onto a dolly and I could slide it around and I could use active track to get some nice panning and dolly shots and things like that. So I can mount it on a selfie stick, and I might want to do that just to give me more reach. There's loads and loads of options here. And really, that's what I like. I can put it in my pocket, I can take it with me, and I've got options. If I want to just get it out and film, I can. If I want to build a rig around it and get a more professional picture, image, whatever, I can. Speaking of pictures, it can take pictures. It can take DNGs and RAWs, and it can take up to 64 megabyte images. But I've got other cameras for that. I've got a smartphone, and probably my smartphone will give just as good an image, or a more modern smartphone is probably going to give a better image, particularly in low light. I'm yet to test it out in low light, but I think it's going to be quite good. So all round, it's really good. Now I hope I've covered everything you would want to know about the Pocket 2. It's a gimbal. It's got steady shots because it's gimbal. No pun there, Sony. It's got steady footage because it's got a gimbal built in. It's got high quality frame rate. It's 100 megabits per second in 4K. It has good focusing. It has nice features like active track. You can plug in an external microphone. You can change things like exposure by using either shutter speed, which I don't always recommend, and filters, and it can take loads of filters as well. And there's a little ecosystem with it. So all in all, I think it's really good. I really like it. It's made filming fun. It's made filming more portable, and it means my portable setup is a little bit more cinematic and a little bit more professional. And I'd be happy to go out and film people with this. I don't think they would look at me down my nose when filming with a FimiPalm, not a FimiPalm, when filming with the Pocket 2. And I've also come up with a system to do some sort of boom arming to get the microphone really close to them. Anyway, let me know what you think. Let me know if you want to see more of these on YouTube, because I can quite easily put the podcast on YouTube. Just let me know what you think. I would really love to hear that. Thank you. Goodbye.